Hi, good morning, good evening, whatever it is where you are. How are you? Okay, I made a video last week after a bit of a break. I was on vacation, then I got sick, sort of cleared up something, then I had some sessions. That session was a bit heavy this week, and I'm still clearing from that. And yeah, I didn't feel like doing this at the moment because of that, and because the topic that I'm talking about and I spoke about in Serbian is moving a lot, and I had some challenges. It's a very heavy topic for me, and in general, and yeah, I'm gonna tell you why in a bit. It's just that from my last vacation, I got this. This is what I went for, and I am so proud of that. I'm so proud of this eagle. It's Von Vulture feather, and I'm just so amazed that I actually was able to get it. So it was my reward and my gift. So I'm just yeah, it's gonna be here. So what happened last week? I'm searching for my gear. Okay. Hmm. Here I'm speaking about things. I have something short circuiting in the house, so it's some electronics die, or then I have to fix it, like, or something happens like this. You see, my friend got broken. So I was a bit upset about that, and it happened before I made, not straight before, but like a day before I made the video last week. So I was, because this is a living being and it has a name, he told me its name when, for me, it's a living being, it has consciousness. So it's a living being. So told me its name when I got it, and it was my staff. It is my staff, and I was told that it took something on from me, and um, that's why it got broken, and it shed a bit of light on something, probably this topic that I'm talking about. But still, I'm a bit upset, and I'm feeling nauseous. Last time I held it, my hand hurt it, but now I'm feeling nauseous, so I'm gonna leave it. Preferably not touching it. I also got my headpiece finally. Not a proper one, but still, I don't know if you can see because it's in the back. I'm really proud of that. I like my feathers. Poof! So even tonight, when I sat to do this, I had a lamp that light bulb in the lamp exploded. So that's kind of normal with me, but it stopped happening as often as it used to. So I'm annoyed every time it happens because I have to fix things afterwards, of course. Like this guy, this fellow, he was supposed to go to be repaired this week with a woman that made it for me. Can't do it because I don't have all of the equipment to to do it, and I didn't make it. She made it for me. I made this one, and luckily I have him with me. So, but it's a different kind of thing that each one So I'm kind of feeling now like I'm without something. Yeah, and then yeah, my necklace got broken too. The amethyst that I have on my necklace ran away from it. It was the second time, and I fixed it, and then this is the second time. So I guess it's time for a new one. So yeah, yeah, no big things like usual, but still, I don't like it when this happens to me because I feel crystals as my friends and my children, and when something like this happens, I feel like I missed a child went away or something like that. Something happened. So I don't like it. I'm always upset, and I always have a period of grief when I lose a crystal. Although I know they helped me and they did what they were supposed to do, but I just yeah, it just especially when it happened, it's not only a crystal, it's my staff that I'm hoping I can fix, or probably I'm gonna have to get a new one. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Anyway, I still needed to do this transmission and this video because I was called for another do another trip to another place. This time I was called by the woman. I kept seeing dreaming this woman calling me there. Not only now, but since I've heard about this place, I don't know why there, and I don't have a clue on what I'm doing there. And I almost did not go. I mean, but I'm going to. It's another small vacation, but I'm doing other things during it. So it's no sessions and no transmissions and stuff like that. I'm a little bit anxious about it because it's not exactly the place I would normally choose to go. So I'm just yeah, I'm kind of I don't know. So we'll see. And also there are other things that I'm feeling. I'm worried and I haven't been sleeping lately properly because of that. So just this need I need to do this transmission, and I'm gonna be speaking about it shortly. I have some announcements to make. Other than having a short break again, hmm, I was going to remind you of the group program about alchemical transformation of divine masculine and feminine energies that it's supposed to happen in October. So there was a deadline until the 1st of September for the discount price for it, and that deadline is gone now. So it's a fixed price now for it. There's still time for you to apply. I know you're kind of used to me doing one-on-one sessions, and I know that we can't cover everything in a group transmission. And it's not only a transmission; it's not a group therapy, and it's not a guided journey as usual. It's also educational program with guided journeys, so it's a little bit different, something different that I want to do because I need to be um, transferring what is transferred to me in this way too. So yeah, think about it. Don't forget about it. Um, we'll see. So that's one reminder. Second thing that I needed to say is that I locked my business profile. I actually had to make it private profile again because I was not allowed to lock it. You cannot lock your Instagram business profile because it needs to be open and accessible. And yeah, I kind of got upset about that. because it everything that it's showing me, even when I was trying to erase my private Facebook profile, I couldn't do it because I couldn't access my photos. I had to ask for permission to access my photos, and now I had to ask for permission to make my profile private profile so that I can lock it, and I couldn't lock it if I didn't make it private. So I can't even decide whether this profile is uh, co- o- open and accessible or locked. It's not inaccessible. It's not deleted. It's there. If you're wondering why aren't you seeing me, it's there. It's still there. It's just locked. And that was one thing that I'm sad about, because it shows me that I don't decide about my items that I post there. That it's not my property. It's not even my intellectual property. So I'm a bit tired of that, and I'm tired of. I want to have a bit of a control over it on who sees it, because not everybody who is watching and observing those stuff is well-meaning towards me. So if you're really interested in my content, and if you're interested in sessions, you will follow me there, and I can decide and feel into what your intentions are. And if you're there and I sense that someone's intentions are not okay, then I can decide what to do about that. And I knew, of course, that those whose intentions were not so um, genuine and well meaning won't follow me. So this is why I locked it. And some things have been happening. And I said um, something coming into my energy that I didn't invite there, and I was not in contact with for a while. And yeah, and I now I clearly saw uh, that some things were sent to me, and it's not something that I was choosing, and I thought I was choosing it. So I needed to place some boundaries around it. Uh, Plus, there were people who are using my content. I mean, it's public knowledge that I share and everything. It's public. You can find it on YouTube. But I minded that I don't mind when you use content that I share, the knowledge that I share, because it's not mine. It's everybody's. It just comes through me. So I don't mind when you're inspired by it, and when it lights a spark inside of you, and then you have an idea and expand on it with something that is yours, that is genuinely yours, and that is passing through your channel. And then it has your signature on it, is added to mine. What I do mind when somebody completely takes it over and presents it as its own and then sells it, because I don't. And because I feel you, and you sort of attach to my channel as if you're plugging into the electrical socket, and I mind because I don't want to be your electric socket, and I needed to remove some people from it, as it's this is why I blocked some people like a year ago, because I felt them, that I was watching and observing what's going on. Why are they there? um and then I saw what was happening. Uh, because if not only me, but if somebody who is speaking about those things is genuine and actually speaking is telling you the truth and has all the abilities that they're presenting or showing off that they have, they will feel you, and they will know who's there, who's in their energy. And I feel you. I see you. So it's completely different when it's a client coming in, or when it's an energy that I need to work with, cooperate with, create with, or have some sort of friendship or whatever with. And then it's completely different when it's an energy that just wants to take something away from you. Of course, and the knowledge spreads around in this way. This is not what I mind. I feel violated in that moment, and I feel like somebody's stealing from me. So I just, that's why I block some people. But this is something completely different that is happening because I feel this aggression coming towards me. Some people are sending me, you don't have to send me anything or do any kind of rituals, but when you send me negative intentions and negative thoughts, I feel it. Or when you only want to plug into me so that you can get supported and you don't even ask, or you don't, or you're just doing something so that you can do that. Or if you have ill intentions towards me and then some things happen, I feel it, and I don't want it. So I wanted to some things to stop, and I wanted to check where they're coming from and if I'm correct. So this is why I did it, and why I'm deliberately saying this, because I know those parties interested will be watching. So it's just, I'm just fed up of that, really, honestly. And this is why I'm thinking of some other means of um, communicating with you and expressing when it's, yeah, of course it's still going to be accessible and open, but I'm just tired of being controlled all the time and having to observe what am I saying and how am I saying it on social platforms, whether they're going to delete the content or be aggressive towards me, or will somebody be aggressive towards me, or will somebody decide that they have maybe more power than me, and then who am I to speak this, and they are the ones who are going to present this to you, and then a paw on me, and a plug into me so that they can do it. Just I or just hinder me a little bit. I don't like it. I didn't ask for it, and I don't want to be in this realm anymore, and I don't want to be in this pond, swimming in this pond anymore. So I just want to do something about it. What, I don't know. The other thing that happened is that one of my YouTube, one or maybe more, some content has less visibility, and my Facebook page has also less visibility because of things that I post, and they keep informing me about it all the time and deleting things. But some of my YouTube content has been deleted. Uh, it's a video in English, not in Serbian. The one that is in Serbian is still there, and it's a video from this winter or spring. It's called Conscious Change because it spoke about clients that come who took vaccine and vaccine shedding. That might This video might be also because I'm saying it, without controlling myself and withholding myself. I don't like speaking in gloves, and I never even liked it when I was around people who are diplomats and coming from UK area where I'm sorry, but I have to constantly walk on eggshells. So I don't come from a society like that, and I'm not gonna do that. So I don't like it, and I don't like this control over me and over my content, and I'm not harming anybody, and I'm not saying anything that is untrue. I was speaking about what happened to me because of the vaccine shedding of the clients, and yeah, I was informed that the video is removed because it's against medical policies and against the COVID policies or something like that. So, and the ridiculousness of it is that the video is in Serbian is still there. So I don't see the point because there are so few people who are watching this in English. There's obviously something or truthful there, minded, and the fact checkers or whoever that is, it's so funny because it was there for a really long time. So it's kind of ridiculous. Everything around it is becoming really ridiculous, and I'm not going to be, especially now, I'm not going to be stopping. And I'm not going to stop talking about it in my not so very good looking English. I know I speak English, but it's, when when my thoughts are flowing too fast, it becomes a little bit blurry or whatever. So made me angry. I don't know what am I going to do about it, because I might really stop using YouTube. There is Vimeo, and there is always my web page. Now I know I'm on Wix, and it offers something that I don't know if you can make videos directly on it or post videos there. I have to check, and it's not a really good platform around here for being visible on social on that. I know I'm due of making a new web page. Also upsets me because you're pushed into doing things that you don't really want or need. You don't need it. Like, you're just being pushed. And that's another thing that is just aggressive. It's passive aggression, but it's aggressive, and I don't like it. So yeah, I'm gonna inform you what I'm going to do about it, but it's most likely going to be that I'm gonna possibly use Vimeo, or yeah, it's change of habit for me, so I also don't like it, but I don't know what else to do. It's really not nice. It's really, oh, I don't know how to call it anymore. It's not it's not even censorship. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous beyond words, really. Yeah. So the next thing that I'm going to be talking about, I need to speak about more of these, what happens with clients who work on, because they had more clients who were stabbed, and I need to speak about that. I need to make another video about it, and I need to make another video about the other things that I just mentioned that are kind of exerting aggression and agendas and things that are happening. And there is another thing that is like going on around here this weekend and the next week that I don't was thinking of mentioning it, but I'm asked not to, because actually asked not to even be here, not to meddle, not to interfere, not to tackle it, to allow it to unfold, and then I'll see maybe speaking about it later, because it's part of the ridiculousness, and it's a part of polarization of getting us to be against each other's and using people to create chaos. So I just can't anymore. So that's why I need to make another video about how it goes around. People don't Most people don't even know when they're used. I spoke a bit about that, but you have to repeat something many times. So now what I'm going to talk about is money, finances, and it was a really long video that I made in Serbian, and mm, I don't think I can remember everything I said there, so I'm just gonna let it flow, speak from my heart, and see what happens, because it what's happening with this. This is one of the biggest issues that I've had in this lifetime. It's my biggest block, my physical and energetic block, and I'm kind of a master manifester myself, which was like that where it's complete ridiculousness when I was told that, because I'm thinking all the time I haven't been able to manifest anything, and I worked a lot on around that. And actually, yeah, and I was also, one part of it is that being a master cleaner, but actually you have to be a master cleaner to be able to be a master manifester, because you have to move away and remove all the things that old and stale energy, so that you're not manifesting that. The thing you stop manifesting things that you don't need anymore. It doesn't serve you anymore. So it goes together in a way. And the reason why I mentioned all this before is that when many obviously um, see a bit more of what what is in me than I do, and they use it for themselves, because I haven't been exactly using it consciously, because I didn't know and believe in it. So yeah, and one of the issues are, it's not finances, but when you speak about money and finances, you usually speak about manifesting and materializing, which actually kind of has nothing to do with each other. Completely two different things. But we just connect money with something material, down to earth, something negative. And this is not an issue actually. I don't have issues with money and finances in past lives. I was always well off. And for one thing, this is why it's so challenging in this life, because I'm used to having, and it carries, or for me, it carries a lot of fear for existence, for survival issues. And this is why it's kind of the topic for the first energy center and the root, because I'm kind of removed from my original root. And I didn't even know that. I needed to discover that because it was really well hidden. And I only recently discovered it. And yeah, there are other things that this connects to, but my financial blocks are coming from this life, in particular, and my upbringing, and my physical lineage. Uh, Not necessarily the blood lineage, but the lineage that I grew up into. So from both my maternal and paternal, but not by biology, they were not well off. By biology, they were. And my mm, they, like, nobody in my lineage, uh, for their lifetimes, these lifetimes, and before, like for a long time, they were not well off. And I was raised by a single mother in society that itself was not well off. That is like forever in transition, with a lot of wars, and the area there is like very conflicting and very interested. Many invaders were interested in it, so we kind of carry in our not DNA, but in the energy that gets transferred, and that you um, are conditioned with. You're gonna pick it up from your ancestors and from your parents, and they pick it up from their parents, and so on. So we were always in lack. And then you're living in the area that is always in lack, that everybody around you is in lack, and that you have to count your pennies all the time, because you have to pay bills first, and you have to give everything to the state first, and to there's a saying, what you give to king what belongs to king, and you give to God what belongs to God, and then there's nothing left for you. So this is what we are brought up with. And I'm kind of surrounded when I was studying, especially I was surrounded with people who don't have, a lot. And we were kind of a completely different society, as a socialist society, because when many things were, like education and um, social welfare and healthcare system was free, and now it's not so much, or it's not what is free. It's not very good quality. While before it was completely different. So there's kind of a this mindset and a lot of wrong, false beliefs and the wrong beliefs around money and around income. So basically, we are stretching from one salary to the next, and we were all wanting to be in a um, state sector, because it's a regular income, and it's a little bit bigger income than somewhere else, or you work for somebody else. And we are kind of conditioned through all of the wars here and in Benin, because we were a vassal country to too many, like to the Ottoman Empire. And before that, we were a country to um, I don't know the word in English for it, to um, I don't know how they're called in English, Attila, and the other invaders, and lot very long history of invading here. So we were always kind of taught to be um, slaves to somebody, or in a vassal position to somebody, or um, working off our asses off for somebody, and for small pay or no pay, just to preserve your life, or you're kind of pushed to do what somebody else wants you to do, because they have more power and exert this power on you, because they basically own you. Whether this is like being like as a slave, or being in a position that is lower, but there's always hierarchy, and there's always somebody who has uh, more, or at least presents themselves as have more of something, not necessarily money, but like position or stuff, things, or something. And they're you're all working for them, because they're in a position that they're the not the boss, but they're somebody who owns everything, like in a capitalist system. But when we were a socialist society, we were not quite there, or at least I don't remember, because I was a child. Because it's this kind of history here, that is cultural conditioning, that is constantly pushing you into, you're not having something, or if you do, it's or you give it for the greater good. And the greater good is not usually the good of everybody, but of somebody, one person. So it's you're kind of counting your pennies all the time, and blowing in by after the 15th or the 20th, you're blowing into your empty fingers and empty pockets, because you're waiting the next paycheck, and then you have to stretch, and then you have to worry, and then you have to not have. It's constantly in lack, and not having, and in lack. And this is what we are all conditioned into here. And even I'm finding myself, even when the bills arrive, I have this, like, I have the money to pay the bills, but I just, my first reaction is like stress reaction to the bill that is arriving, or when there is a malfunctioning of something, so I have to fix things around the house, or just like something happens, and then I have to invest money that I planned for something else, and I always have fear, because I'm used to not usually not having money for that. Even when I have money, my reaction is like that. Or when I have to invest in myself, I'm okay in investing when it's an education, or well, at least not large amounts of money. But when I have to buy something for myself that is costing a little bit more, or treat myself with something, or like having another trip maybe. And that is for me, that I have to create some reason why I have to be there, because it's, I yeah, I traveled a little bit more than others here at a certain period of time, because we couldn't, because we were closed, we had sanctions, we couldn't, we our freedom of movement was limited, so you had to have a reason to go out somewhere, so have a visa to go somewhere and be allowed to be somewhere. So it was always like for educational purposes or some seminars or something. So I worked when I went to summer trips. It was not to to as a vacation, but I'm working there. So even now when I do that, I don't feel like in a position of a tourist who's just enjoying. I just have to do something. It has to have a meaning and a purpose. So yeah, that's one of the cultural conditioning. But my family conditioning was not having, because my mom, but it's particularly my mom, my father too, but then he created a little bit more for himself. He was not willing to share though, at least not with us. So and he came from a position of not having, because his parents and their parents, they were really poor, like even more than my mom's. So yeah, what he didn't have was paper money. What they did have is land and forest, and vegetables and clean water and clean air, and they lived in villages, and whether they bought or they inherited the land, like not very big houses, but they had houses like some people are coming back to these houses that we actually torn down and build a bigger house. My father did that in particular, because we had a house of made of clay, of earth and mud and clay, for a really long time, and I remember that. And yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's not, you know, they wanted something bigger. So nobody actually taught me this, because no, they didn't teach them. And you have to invest a lot of work and energy around, having a land, and owning a land, and working on land requires time, because if you're living on what you grow, need tending, of course. And we never wanted to do that. We all wanted to run away. We were like, not too many people in both sides were too educated. They didn't go to university, because it was affordable for most. And then they didn't pick girls to study. This is why my mom, who actually wanted that, was not picked for a higher education. And even her brother had to go to a certain extent and not further, because he had to work, you know. And at that time, you couldn't do both. You were expected to do other things, so you kind of condition into creating this particular society, and this particular system that it's set for you. And like everywhere, women are still underpaid, uh, in comparison to men. And not only that, especially in society, in a patriarchal society like mine, uh, men are the ones who inherit everything, and this is how they are raised. So everything that a family has is invested in them, because the woman is expected to have a man who's going to take care of her. It's not like I ran off and found a man who's going to take care of me, because I take care of myself, and I had to learn to be independent and take care of myself very early on, because of my dysfunctional family. 'Cause my father my was this alcoholic, and he Even when he was around, he didn't take much care of us. And my mom then was focused completely on my brother, because my brother has a disability. He has cerebral palsy, because he was without oxygen when he was being born. And then, kind of all the energy of the family was directed there. My mother's energy was directed there. So I was expected early on to take care of myself. And of course, I'm able, capable, and I'm educated, and then I can create for myself. I can manage myself. And that kind of gives you this mindset that you constantly have to strive, that you have to, I don't know, you have to get by. You can get by, but it has to be taken care of. You can get by, and he has to be taken care of. So not only that everything is invested in male member of the family, so you're being told that you can do better than a man. I was at I had this issue. I can't do better than a man, and I can't do better than my brother because he needs to be taken care of. And I wasn't taught that if I do better than him, I can take care of him, but I was expected to take care of him, and I'm still expected to take care of him. Although he's independent enough, but he still needs help and tending. So yeah, I worked a lot on this issue of I can do better than man and I can do better than my brother. And I cleared that, and after that, I actually manifested this flat where I'm living in. I bought actually my father, surprise, surprise, which is really a surprise. Uh, bought it for me. So yeah, it's an example. I can do it, and when you work on a certain issue, you can manifest something for yourself. Uh, yeah, but you need to have like very very specific in knowing what you want, because you have to be very specific on that, because that's exactly what you want. Like when you're somebody asked me, I mean, I'm not, what, you're not asking like for job description and sending a job description to the universe, but actually it's kind of like that when you're speaking about things that you want to mm, have in matter. So this is about manifesting. These are blocks to manifesting, because I worked a lot my blocks of manifesting, and that I had a bit of it from past lives, and it had to do with I can't do better than man because of the patriarchal society and issues that I carried of my wounding, my own personal wounding from men from lifetimes. Not one particular man, but a lack of one particular man in my history, and of being a powerful woman that want that men need around you need to dominate. And I had this issue of thinking that men are stupid and lower creatures than me. I'm sorry that I have to say that I said somewhere, but I really had this issue, and I worked on removing these subconscious beliefs that I had because of that. And it's my own shadow material, but I worked on it, and I yeah, it's I mean I spoke a lot about it in another video. So what another thing that now just reminded me, because I just felt it, is that when you are lacking something, when you're in lack, and when you feel that you cannot manifest or materialize, when you don't have enough money and you have problems because of it, you are judging yourself and you are observing yourself from other people's perspective. And because you are placing yourself in their expectations, you're observing what are their expectations from you, And then you have those expectations, and maybe they're not necessarily what you're meant to be doing. And you're not observing yourself properly because they're not observing you properly. And they're not observing you properly because of all of these cultural conditioning and their own conditioning. And this is how they are conditioning you. So then there is a lot of shame around it, and it's toxic shame that is actually the biggest block. Not only the judgment of yourself, the toxic shame that is there. It's very hard to admit to yourself and admit even to counselors, therapists, or whoever you're working with. Because when you're ashamed because of something that is happening to you, you're it's very hard to drag it out of you to speak about it. And actually, that's the biggest block because you need to speak about it. You need to allow it to be seen and to shed a light on it so that it can be you can it, that it can become conscious. And usually, why, special both for men and women, but mostly, you know, well, it's more for men, but I haven't had much of those, so yet women are becoming more open to speak. But there is a lot of trauma around it, especially trauma around um, sexual sexual energy. So a lot of abuse around there, whether in childhood or later or whatever, and a lot of manipulation around there because we are materializing and creating with our sexual energy. That's why. And it usually also means that in those there are holes, especially in dysfunctional families and wherever there is a lot of trauma, means there are dysfunctional families like they're like switches. The energy of the entire um, field, their field is like Swiss cheese, and usually something gets in there. Whoever can get in there will get in there, and that's why I'm speaking from the experience. When the family is like a functional system, or at least semi-functional, but functional, like a sphere that is clear sphere and no holes. Its function, you can see that the families who didn't have trauma and didn't have um, addictions, diseases, or something like that, or abuse, they're functioning a little bit better and they're a little bit more well off and they're creating better. They're creating better. I mean, maybe they're not having a lot of money, but they're creating for themselves what they want a little bit easier. And they're living in ease. That's what's the point around here, to be in ease and not in pain and suffering and constant loss and in constant lack. Because what money gives you, provides to you, is easiness. It doesn't manifest or materialize things for you. Money is energy. We give it value. It hasn't always been paper. It's like gold or precious metals or precious stones, gems, or whatever we give value to. It used to be cacao at some parts of the world. Cacao was used to like a means of payment because it had a lot of value to those who were using it. It was used as offerings to deities. It still is today. It was used as a means of payment because it had a lot of value for those who were using it. So the grains of cacao or the bars of cacao were used to as a means of payment. I don't know what was the value system there, but we are is that we are the ones who are giving value to something, whether it is paper or the things, or like flowers or whatever. It can be, I don't know, if you were a squirrel, it would be like uh, some hazelnuts or chestnuts or whatever. But you give it meaning. It can be whatever. It's an exchange. Point being that money is set up there for as a means of an exchange, and a fair exchange, not a trade. Trade came a little bit later as a means of an exchange. I was told, I remember we were told by our Greek teacher that money, finances was set up by Christ or Christ consciousness. And when I say that, I know that some forms of payment were set long before him, but he was not talking about the physical being. He's talking about the energy from higher realms, and it was set there. It was decided in a council presided by him, and he set this as a means of their exchange so that everybody has equally of something. So you give something for something, and then you have something like this money that you give for something. So all of these talks now about, uh, yep, fiat money or whatever the pronunciation is, or not being backed up by gold, or it's just something that we do. It's something that is created way along the road. Why? Because when ego gets involved in it, it attaches itself. Mind has a tendency to become obsessive and attach itself to something. And it usually, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be something material. It can be anything. It can be, I have to be so pure and clear, and I have to know everything because I start working with other people, and then you can do this eternally and never start doing anything because your mind is constantly obsessing on it's not enough. I have to clear something more. It's not, that's your mind. That's not your heart. And it's okay to have a little mind and a little ego in there, because when you are uh, to create something new and step in front of other people and give it to them and express it to them, you have to have a little bit of integrity and identity so that you don't completely get lost in other people's energy and have boundaries, and also have a bit of a presence and charisma and self-esteem so that you can do that, but not when it becomes obsessive around it. So it also becomes obsessive around having something, of possessions, money or things or gold bars or diamonds or something. That's all same thing. You become, it doesn't mean anything to somebody. You can't eat it when you don't have food or don't have heating or electricity or housing. It doesn't mean anything. And when you're not safe and when you get sick and you can't, nobody can help you. It doesn't really matter how much money you have. It doesn't mean anything. It's been set up there so that you can, when you're a generator, and you can generate a little bit more so that you can disperse, direct it and disperse it to others. You can splash it off to others. It's so strange when it becomes, it's not even about possession. It's about having a power um, over somebody. You are having something more than somebody else, than what somebody else needs. That means that you have had issues yourself in childhood, or usually in childhood or prior, they're not being given value to. So you're connecting your value to this. When you have more and somebody else needs to ask you for it, then you are feeling a little bit better than them. It's like, I also have had, whenever my father was to give me money to pay a rent or pay my tuition or something, I always had to go to him and ask him for it, sort of beg him for it. And I just hated it. So I connected this to so I resented it. I'd rather not have anything than do that at some point, some sometimes. So I'd rather starve or and trust me, it was happening. I had times when I didn't have money for food. I had to have money for rent, and I had to have money for um, bills. I didn't have to have money for food, and I would have days when I would be starving, and that was also happening not only when I was studying, but that was happening even when I would finish when I finished all of the when I was having my masters. And then I had scholarships and traveled abroad and came back and I couldn't find job for a long time because everybody was like, "Why did you come back? Why didn't you stay there?" Nobody wanted to have anything. So then you're kind of pushed to accept whatever comes your way so that you can support yourself. Not only to feel a little bit better about yourself, but to actually have food on your table. And I was, at that time I was also working on low paid jobs or, um, like in a coffee shop or something like that. While not even considering that I was actually constantly manifesting for myself whatever I wanted to manifest, not necessarily in the timing that I wanted it to or I needed it to. Well, actually, whenever I needed something, it would fix itself somehow. I was not always feeling comfortable in that position. I had to beg for somebody to wait a little bit for me so that I can pay my rent or lend me money or ask my father for it, which I didn't want because I felt like a beggar. Then uh, I am charging for my session now, uh, in comparison to what my colleagues that are abroad and belonging to the same stream I belong to is not as much. I'm living in these areas, and for what I for people here, it's a lot. Everybody thinks that I'm sitting on money, and actually I'm not, because they it's not that the clients are not coming, but most of them need a little bit of time to come up with the money to pay for my session. For me, it's an energy exchange. This is why I'm not charging them by the hour, and I sit for as long as it takes them to finish their process because it's a lot for people from this area. So when they come from when they live abroad and they know how much they charge for these kind of things abroad, they just they're in a shock. I'm not charging them as much, and I value it a little bit more. While people around here are shocked that they have to pay me this much, and then there are other people who are angry with me here because of that. But by the way, there are others who are charging more and are less equipped to do what they're doing because they're not trained for it. But I don't know. They People choose to go wherever they want. There is another thing that is in this society, like cultural conditioning, because we are not used to paying for services like this. So people think psychotherapy and things, therapy in general, was in a system when our healthcare system, uh, we didn't have to pay for it. It was paid by taxes, so we didn't generally we're not paying for it from your pocket, but actually we were paying for it, or um, our jobs and taxes they were paying through our jobs for us was paid for. So those people were actually receiving salaries for it. It's just that when you went to see a doctor or a therapist, so you didn't pay from your pocket for it. straight away. So people are not used to it. They're not thinking that they were actually paid for and work for free with them. And like there is also this thing that when you need to be, you have a talent and you received something from God, and you're receiving this knowledge from God, and you're not supposed to be charging for it. Well, guys, I'm educated and I'm trained for this, and I paid a whole lot of money for my education. Yes, educational system at some point for us was free of charge, but not all throughout my schooling, not now, not anymore. And all my uh, education after I did to be able to do this, I paid for it, and I paid a whole lot of money for it. So, yeah, I need to get a little bit back of it too. And I also have expenses because this is the kind of society that we live in. So, as I explained in one of the previous videos, so there are people who also think, if you think I'm not charging you for my talent, I'm not charging you for my knowledge, and I'm not charging the method that I use, I'm charging for the time that I spend with you. But because I'm not even charging by the hour that I should, because I would not have clients around here. I want to work and I want to have clients. But then I have this other problem because of the issues, the um, belief systems that people have around here. They uh, kind of uh, want to drag me into their own movie, into their own belief systems, so that you shouldn't be charging, you bad woman, or something like that. They create a little battlefield with me because of that. And it's, everybody's charging me for everything, including food, and the only thing that we're not charged for around here is air, and pretty soon possibly we're going to be charged for that too. So, you know I gotta live on something too. That's one thing. But the other thing is that we haven't been taught properly, because we haven't been taught that having housing, having your own house, like as your own property, having healthy food and organic food is wealth and abundance. Having clear water is abundance. The water you can actually drink from the well is abundance. We can't do that anymore, but I remember when we had a well in my grandfather's backyard, and we drank from it. I uh, I still have land. I have land that I'm not using. I'm not working on it, and I'm not growing things on it. I have land and I have forest, and I haven't been taught that this is wealth, because it doesn't work. It's not worth much in money around here because it's undervalued. They created a system that it's, only walls that are, and it's still a lot less than somewhere else in this world. Not recently, and it was not like it used to be until like 2, 3 years ago. So, point being, we are giving value to something, but again, we are not giving it proper value and proper credit because we're being directed into what somebody else wants us to create for them, so that they can have benefit from it. And they can come and buy it and or take it from you for nothing. Like I didn't value my house. Not I did not value it, but I didn't observe it like something that I needed to protect because it was mine, and it's obviously it's like my brother's, but it's also mine because my brother is not, he's not making it a big deal until somebody actually came and wanted a piece of my yard there and took it without asking or offering payment for it, and knowing that I can't do nothing about it because it's not my on paper, it's not my property, it's my brother's property, and I had to make a lot of fuss and know what and find how to deal with it. Because for me and for everybody else who is normal around there, it's our property. For the one who wanted a piece of it, it's not, he doesn't have a problem of saying, why? What do I have to do with you? It's not yours. I don't have to deal with you. I was literally told that. And I did that. I had understood. It's like, wait a second. Like, I'm seeing this with this, their eyes. Like, it's mine, and it's been always been mine. I don't have to prove it to anybody. But the time came when I have to learn that I have to actually prove my um, boundaries to somebody, a physical one, not only energetic ones, literal physical ones. And also, like, my mother used to grow roses. Like, we had 100 roses in our garden, and I didn't question, having roses until I mean, and I didn't even question what, because I was living in apartments and I didn't have a garden around, like, because we had a garden while my mom was alive and she could tend it. I didn't have a question it. I didn't have to buy roses. I didn't even know how much they charge roses because I had roses whenever I wanted them. So now I get a little bit, and I see how much the rose costs and who's giving it a value because it's a flower. It grows everywhere. Well, where not everywhere, but it grows around. So, you know, that's what I'm talking about. We're allowing other people to set value on something, and we're not taught to value what we have properly. And not only what we have, it comes from our perspective on ourselves, from how we value ourselves. I'm not necessarily talking about you placing a value or a number, a figure, what you do and your talents, your skills and stuff. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is uh, what is a value for you? What what is the most um, ultimate value for you? So when we're talking about money and finances, it actually, it's not that it reveals you and your personality. It reveals your value system. It reveals what you value and how you treat other people. So in a way, um, money implies relationships and relations. So this actually comes back to my topic, previous topic, unconscious relations, not necessarily partner relations, but some kind of any kind of relationships, because you have to have an exchange, you have to have another there, and this another person becomes your mirror. So in that sense, uh, finances and money become a place, and not the mirror, but a place where you project everything that you have in your subconscious around it. Just try and see what are your beliefs around finances and money. I just mentioned a couple of it, and I just mentioned of what were mine, that was separate from what were mine, what were my blocks regarding materializing and manifesting. Because when we speak about manifesting and materializing things, we manifest and materialize all the time. We're just doing it unconsciously, and it's not the way we are presented. Like, you know, there are schools that are teaching you how to manifest whatever you want. They're uh, they're found it's founded on the wrong system, on the wrong. You think that you're doing something from down here up there, and then you can actually manifest in that way something that it's not necessarily working for you all the way. It works for a little while, but then when you um, encounter relations and relationships there, it can all dissipate. And you constantly get hurt around it. You can lose everything. And when you lose everything, then you start thinking about what you really want. Because it's the other way around. Material plane is the last plane around here. Material plane gets changed from the higher planes. You bring in change in the higher planes. You create from the soul plane because this is a hologram and you are projecting the image of what you want, projecting the idea of what you want from up there, well, 12th dimension, 12th realm, through all of your centers. So all of your centers, all of your energy centers are um, creating. You're creating through all of it. Whatever you have in there, and when they're not congruent with each other, when they're not in alignment, when you're not in alignment with yourself, you're going to be creating something that's going to backfire at you at some point. We've all been there because, um, our three main centers we create through and want different things, and we're not aware of it. So what you think, what your mind wants, what your heart wants, and what your is for women womb and for men it's heart area, that can be completely different things. And this means you're not in alignment, you're not balanced within yourself. These are you're not aware of what is going on there, so you have conflict with yourself, and this is why you tend to have difficulties in your physical world, in your physical reality. Not only financial difficulties, but difficulties in general. And the soul always create what the soul wants. You create from the soul plane. And when I say that some of us are creators and master manifestors, is because we create through dreams and then we materialize it in our reality, and we have this knowledge that is not conscious, and we do it because it's what we've always done. This is what we came here to do, just we don't know how. And when we are speaking about the certain agendas that are happening now, and of the elite are a few, a minority who are creating everything they want, is because they know these laws, and usually you laws. You know how this material world functions, and it's usually through group intention. So this is why we're constantly directed with whatever they send to us, whatever they direct our consciousness and unconsciousness into, whatever I put there. This is why uh, rea- uh, mm, people are manipulated. We are manipulated with the information and misinformation because we direct our attention there and our energy flow there, and we create for them. We create what they want us to create. And this is why they usually, like when the dark arts gather in groups and they have this means to connect to the certain stream of energy, whether through directing attention of their larger group there, or directing the attention of the larger group towards you, or using certain symbols and codes that have a lot of energy because they might be positive ones in the past, but they have been abused, and then they are connecting you to the wrong stream. So I might be lacking some information here because I don't uh, you I don't use geometry, and I don't see geometrical symbols and shapes, and I'm not into mathematics and in alignments like that. what I understand from this is when they connect you to the certain stream that doesn't lead you through the portals that take you to the higher realms or to your original ancestors, the soul groups, and the star systems that you come from, or even higher, take you to portals that are not leading anywhere or are leading to relooping you through uh, the what would you call at some points karmical patterns, but not always. So whether that is through wrong beliefs and placing wrong beliefs, or redirecting you with those wrong beliefs into the system that is good for them but not good for you. Basically, work for them, work for yourself. Until you come to a certain point and you understand that and discover that, and then you're trying to come back to yourself or to your path, your track. So they know this, they know how this works. And when we're speaking about relations, and not having a good stream now at the moment, um, it's actually quite simple. This is why they gather in groups. This is why we gather in groups, because we enhance the energy. And when this sphere is created, this sphere creates whatever uh, we are focused on. This is usually set by the one who is setting the group, or is teaching you something or directing you somewhere, which implies that they should have good intentions, especially when they teach you, and the intention being of connecting you with your higher selves and oversoul, or whoever is in charge of the group. But it's not necessarily always like that. This is why I don't sit in groups anymore, because ones who can see you or know what's in your energy, especially if they know that you are a creator, and use you for them so that you, like I said, that they can plug into you, and then they use you to create what need they need. So you think you're working with them, but you're actually working for them. Happened to me, so I don't sit in groups anymore. It's like I had this constant, until I discovered it. I had this constant, like, where you can be there, you be in my group, and I mean, even repeat what you said and learn from you, but it doesn't really matter because we work together. But you can be there, but don't show yourself. Don't show who you are, because they get bothered when we start shining a little bit in their channel. So this is what's been happening to me all the time. So, because they want to use your energy, so you help with enhancing the energy of the group or whatever is happening there. Because you're a little bit, larger. So then the one who's possibly leading that group, you don't even know it until you realize who you really are. It can be happening to you. This is why I'm mentioning. That's one thing. And especially in the groups that are using sexual energy, and sexual energy is something that we create with. I mean, that it creates life. So this is how we come back to the topic of conscious relationships, because we do this in a conscious relationship, a conscious partnership with our partner, ideally. This is why a lot of tantric groups are using actually sex magic and teaching you sex magic, but not teaching you so that you can use it, but they can use your energy. Some are not aware and they don't know, and they're being used by some other beings, and some do know. And this is what we've been clearing for a long time, for a couple of years now. The old Egypt, temple arts, and a lot of, and after fall of Egypt, a lot of sex magic was used so that you can create a certain priestesses that are in service to certain negative beings and negative groups. Um, um, Atlantis, I think even Lemuria and Orion, some of the off-world planets, but mostly on Earth, an old Earth, like um, even Pangaea, Hyperborea, or whatever what things that were happening there, because when we're speaking about this physical reality, we're speaking about Earth because it's in matter, material. So not necessarily everything that is material matter is bad because we are it. We are matter. We are housing. We are not housing. We are vehicles for our souls to create. And the only thing that soul wants is to create and to be in matter, to be able to create. I create on other planes too, but it's different density, not like this. And this is why it has a lot of entanglement because of all of these thought forms, wrong beliefs that we create through, we're manipulated to create through all of these invasions and invading systems and parasites and viruses that happened a long time ago. And this is what we're clearing. That's what I've been speaking about. But through a conscious relationship, when you're using consciously your sexual energy for creation, not as in sex magic, for creation, uh, you are manifesting something together. And this is why I said you should be doing this with your partner, um, because you're ideally with a conscious partner, you're not being used and abused. So none of your energy is being used. It can go both ways. Not only women can be, but it happens more for women, for women. And what I said, by when you're in groups, when you're being used and they know that your creator energy happens more for women than men, but it happens for men too in a different way. Your energy can be locked somewhere so that you do not have access to your actual soul partner, or that you can do not form this conscious relationship so that you can create for the certain groups that are not on the physical plane. And somebody can be sent to you so that your energy is locked for and blocked with the wrong partner and then used. They think whether they're priestesses for dark energy or something, they think that they're uh, doing something, but they're also being used. So it's another story. So this is how it goes. This is the agenda to stop forming being blocked from forming a conscious relationship with your actual soul partner, who is like I said, it's conscious being like you are. You have both embodied your soul. Now you're embodying something else. So this is how higher realms get manifested through those couples. This is how we manifest, materialize new earth. Conscious couples are manifesting it through themselves and their union. This is why there are so many agendas and wrong beliefs and manipulations around there. So it is stopped. This is how we created in the beginning. Soul families were incarnated together and they manifested through their union. So you want to manifest higher reality and better realm for yourself and the earth? Grab your partner, soul partner, not any partner. You can do it with other, whoever is your partner, even if they're not your soul partners, but have to work a lot on themselves because it pushes a lot of their own stuff to the surface so that they have to see and work on it. It's not impossible, but it's a little bit harder. And it can also get tough when they're two conscious being because of all of the other agendas around there. Because when you bring in a lot of energy, other people around you who do not understand, they might not do it intentionally, but when people don't understand something, they tend to react with fear. When people react with fear, they can become a little bit aggressive and try to destroy it or diminish it or lower it. Or this is why we had so much agendas around, you know, uh, feminine energy. They don't, those energies didn't understand each other. They spoke different languages. They forgot their own language. So when the energy is coming down, was not being understood, like when the patriarchal energy came, the energy that was there, like a maternal matriarchal energy, didn't understand. So there was like when you are in this balance, you don't speak the same language, you are not on the same frequency to repel, and then you kind of get into conflict with each other. That's why. And you get afraid of the energy that you don't understand until you start understanding it, because you're vibrating a little bit different, a little bit higher, so you come into alignment a little bit more. So yes, we're coming into alignment now, but this is why all the other things, my the things are happening, all those other things are happening now because of this. We are coming into alignment, but the things that need to be clear are coming to the surface, not only from you, but from others around you too. Who, I mean, trust me, I know very well when people around you don't understand you and can become a little bit aggressive towards you because they're afraid of your energy. They don't even know that they're afraid of you, or they don't even know what they're afraid of. I had it with people who are my friends or my clients, not clients necessarily, because when they are a client, they have to respect terms and conditions of the space, your space that they're coming into your. But with when these things get a little bit mixed, they are afraid of their own energy and of their own change. They can dump it all onto you. It happens in family, it happens with people who feel safe to do this with you, but also with people who are completely different than you and cannot handle it. So sometimes you need to change circumstances, like surroundings where you are, which sometimes means family too, or where you live or whatever. Yeah, but what I was speaking about, how it happens in a relationship, how do when couples, when groups of couples, can you imagine when you have groups of more than one or two, or groups of couples who are doing the same thing and are directed, focused on same thing, what happens then? And when it's a positive thing, how much uh, high vibrational energy we can bring down like that. They know it. This is how what they've been doing for eons, and we forgot, or haven't been able to get together because they created traps for us not to get together and do this, create a new reality. Where it doesn't necessarily mean that it cannot exist, but they have to change. Most of them don't want to change, or afraid of change, which brings me back to what I just said. This is why they become in their own survival mode. And in a couple, when you have balanced male and female energy, uh, the materialization process. Yes, you both do, but it comes through a woman because a woman has a womb, and womb is kind of sacred spiritual technology because it's multidimensional. So you actually you bring something from this spirit realm, from um, antimatter into matter. You know, womb in our language, in my language, materia, and matter, matter, they're the same. They have the same root, similar meaning. So you bring something into matter from the invisible realm. And when you are of this lineage of God, goddess energy, creator energy, original creator energy, it's times three for you. Your energy enhances it. For me, and I see this when I work with my clients, because all of the issues, if they're similar to mine, especially, but all of the other issues of their kind, they become a bit liquid and physical through me, through my energy. I literally, when it's too heavy and too difficult, I throw it out. I throw it out of me. I throw up before a session or after a session, and sometimes it's really challenging for me because of that. Mm, because not because it has to be visible, because it has to be um, it it goes through my vessel that is a bit crystalline, and like in a crystal, it when it gets misty, you have to clear it a little bit, and this is how I how I clear it, and it becomes matter. Meaning in crystal, it becomes crystallized, and then it becomes a bit heavy, and, unless you do something with it, it's gonna become manifested through that vessel, through that crystal in some ways, like mine that broke off, and something happened in physical reality. So this is why it gets challenging with me. Sometimes it doesn't mean it's wrong. This is how I get it out. You know, I prefer not. I would prefer not to have these. Are obviously still needed. Yeah, I know that there are people. I've heard of people who are able to literally bring things because they're manifestors like that, and they literally physically bring things from another dimension, and they do it like they're walking into and walking out. I do that through dreams. Do that in dreams. I still think we can all do it, but it's a specific, from what I've been told, it's a specific ability of certain creator energies, energies that create differently. Mine create like this, and it's usually enhanced with women because women dream with their womb, not dream, but they manifest. Soul is multidimensional. Womb is multidimensional too, and especially when it's in alignment with the great creatrix energy, with divine mother, with the goddess energy, especially if it's been trained and taught to do that for eons, and it comes from this lineage. It's naturally in alignment with this womb portals of divine mother, of the creatrix energy. So you by default bringing into reality whatever comes through that portal. Like your woman brings a spirit into matter through bringing a child, giving birth, life, child. I'm not necessarily talking about that now. I'm talking about other things. So when you are having this kind of energy, and when you are having usually men are coming, when they're couples, they're usually conscious relationship, and then they're also coming from the certain lineages too, and especially when your soul partner has the same kind of frequency like you. So he has this ability to in a different way because he directs this energy, what needs to come through you. He's in charge of sort of what comes through you. And what when you're in an agreement of what you're going to, create, and it gets all the more potent. But you can be manipulated too, so that you have an agreement with somebody else, and then you create not knowing what, you know, not knowing consciously what you're actually doing and thinking that you're doing it because you want it, but like you made an agreement and you don't even know it. You can be tricked into making. What I'm saying, you can be tricked into making an agreement with somebody, into an agreement that's not necessarily in your best interest. Yeah, or let's say that, and you can be drained of energy so that somebody else use it to create their own thing, their own reality. This is why everybody wants an energy like this to sit in their circle or have some kind of an agreement or partnership with them. This is why these other energies, other entities want to make a contract, an agreement with you because they want to come through this portal that you are kind of holder of, gatekeeper. But when I'm speaking of the womb, this is why I said for a woman, this is your throne, your portal. You need to sit on your throne. This is your throne. But this is a kingdom of your partner. This is his throne too. He's a keeper of that portal. He's a keeper of the grail. He's the keeper of that gate. He's the king of that realm, of that multidimensional space. Not only this reality, but of many other multidimensional spaces that this reality gets you in. You're kind of the overseers of these other realms too. So I wish that men would understand actually how the womb works and what they actually have when they have their soul partner woman there present with them. So it's not an object only, and not even only a being when you use it consciously. It's a technology that you can use wisely. So I'm not saying that you should go now with your partner and manifest a whole lot of money for yourself because that's abuse. But if money is what you need to create, it can help you create this reality for yourself and others. You're in service of others too. You're in charge. You're in charge. They're giving. You're the custodian. You're the guide. You're their overseer. You're their um, mm, guardian. You're their guardian. Um, then you are given this so that you can give them. I had this idea that I have the foundation I can give to other people, and I never actually so far manifested it. And then like having a proper foundation for I can give money to other people. That but I'm giving like this because this is an openly. I'm sharing this knowledge with others too, and this is a knowledge. This is my knowledge that is coming back through me. And when this is how it works. This is what I saw when you actually uh, do this properly with a partner. You go both into this higher realm, or one of you, and or you go as one being that you both are, you know, vessel for. But if you're consciously doing it, you are observing it through the eyes of your higher self, your own eyes, what's happening. So you are going into this realm that is like ocean or um, this fluid, amniotic fluid of the womb of mother creatrix womb, and it's a plasma, not water, but plasma that is filled with symbols and codes and letters, fire letters that are actually creating reality. And then you bring it, and this you bring it in your own energy. This is where you become, you're one with it. This is, and then you absorb it, and they're in your energy. Those codes that bring, they're all in you, but then you cannot bring everything with you into this other realms because you pass through other realms too. So they work through you and they become manifested through your energy because you emanate it. And this is how you bring from another reality. You don't necessarily bring things, but they become physical matter. So I've heard of people who can actually do that, like walk in and out, like in body. I haven't actually seen it, I just heard about it. I can't do it like that. I dream of something, for instance, I see, and then I remember seeing this particular earrings, and then I saw the same pair of earrings like a couple of days later, and I got them both down. And my friend, my staff, I was seeing it. I was seeing myself using it a lot, long before in dreams, long before I actually had it made. And I had this particular dream where I was using it, and the first thing that I saw in the morning was the page of this woman who was making stuff like that. And I sat and I told her what I actually want. This guy, yeah, this guy that I made, and this is how it happens. It takes a bit of time. It doesn't happen like that. It can, you can make things. I heard of it, but I'm not capable of doing it yet. Maybe when we all get vibrating higher enough. So yeah, you honestly sometimes don't even know what you have with a conscious uh, partner, with a conscious woman, a conscious man there. But doing something like this, it takes both partners to be conscious, because you won't be able to do it if you are not conscious, both conscious. Because at some point, if you're using and abusing, or if you're doing it wrong, you'll be stopped, you'll be blocked. Like it happened to me when I got to, with my energy was being used too much by somebody else, and I was not receiving enough of myself. My um, my guide stopped it. My guide stopped it. And yeah, this is why you have a lot of, like, in especially in tantric groups, you have a lot of teachers who are having a lot of followers, and in particular female followers, because they're attaching to their wombs and using their sexual energy to roam the astral plane and bring things and create things themselves. How this happens, I don't know, because these are the knowledge. This is the abuse. It's dark. Well, I wouldn't. I don't know whether it's dark or not, because it's kind of used to direct energy. As it's long, I mean, yeah, it can be consensual, but usually somebody's being, not everybody's conscious of what's happening there. When somebody's not conscious of what's really happening there, that means they're a little bit manipulated. So it's not, it's tainted. It's not completely transparent. So in that sense, I would say, like, I wouldn't say dark, but dirty. You know, this is what we are actually clearing. Like, this is why I said old Egypt and Atlantis and Lemuria and the realms of where this was happening. But what when original creation happened, this is what uh, in the physical plane, what I saw in other realms, and what I see that the souls do. I am a kind of soul that creates physical beings. And I saw that I do it with my voice. I at some planes that, like, stones become live, but in some other planes I use water and I place my hand and or uh, something like that. But usually my hand, my um, asthmatic finger or hand that I place in water, and then these symbols and codes create little seedlings that become little beings. So yeah, it's a challenging sometimes when these things start coming back to have it be in a physical reality, because everything that has been created before, it's gonna be wiped off first so that you can create something else. Or if something is not, it's coming through you, is not in alignment with your energy, you can get sick, or you can throw it up, and you can have all sorts of things happening to you because you can get entangled with it. Like it happens to me this way. I constantly have some different pains somewhere, or you know, create start having distortions in creations because it's not all my energy that it's coming through me. And when you're conscious of that, when you have a conscious relationship and conscious partner, you are capable of almost anything. But it's usually done in service to the divine, not to people. You are a custodian, you are a guardian of this realm and plane. You help create it. You created it in the first place. You help in its creation. Different souls have different, some can create mountains and rocks and stuff. Some create plants. Some create objects. Like, I'm in charge for small beings, living beings, and there are others too. And you mm, something going through my leg was speak about this. In that sense, you work for God, and God, divine, works through you. So this is why I said you create on that plane and you bring in change on the upper plane. When your session with me, basically your code readjusted and cleared, and you have you activated and you get new code. This is what is in my energy. This is what I do. This is how I bring in change. Or I hug you, as I saw, like I hug you, hug client energetically, and I start lifting. I rise up with the client, and this is how I help you grow and ascend and help you go through your own dimensions. And having said all that, you don't work for money like many people think. Money works for you, but not even that. Money is means of an exchange so that everybody can have equally. God works through you. God creates through you. Divine creates through you, your own soul. But you work. for God, Divine Mother, Father, God, and you work with God, Divine Mother, Father, God. And He, God, He gives you everything you need because what God guides, He provides. She provides. And I've witnessed that many times. Like I said, I've been able, I manifested not in a conventional way. So this is why I've been judging myself a lot. Because it hasn't always been through job or money of this amount of money. We tend to judge ourselves like I haven't made a million records or $1 million by this age, and I'm not successful. I placed on my vision board Thailand. I like to travel, and I placed Thailand. I didn't even know why I want to go there. I'm gonna get there. But a couple of years later, I ended up there. I got a scholarship. I paid, and I thought I'm gonna go somewhere else. And I was a bit late with my application, so they redirected me through there. And I had my ticket paid, and I had my scholarship, and I was taken care of, and I had some income for the scholarship to get me through there. And I didn't have the money to bring with myself to get me there. So when I went to Thailand, actually I only had 20 euros in my pocket. I thought I'm going to earn it or I'm going to be given it or my father will give it to me, but no, that didn't happen. And I actually lost, when I came back, I lost my flat and I lost some of my things that were in that flat because my landlord, I think I'm going to pay him rent. So he kicked me out. So when I came back, I didn't have a flat, I didn't have a job. And I came back into this completely different reality than the one that I was in. And I came back to the reality of lack that pulled me, sucked me. Okay, that's another thing. The thing is that I was there and I could give up on this trip. Always I had faith in my guidance and I just thought I want to be there. I need to be there. This opened up for me and I'm gonna go there. And I'm gone. I'm going. I don't know how, but it's gonna get sorted out. So when I came to the airport, I didn't know how I'm gonna get myself to where I'm supposed to be from the airport because 20 euros is not enough for anything. And the limo waited for me there. I didn't, of course, I would have I still had a week before receiving my scholarship there. And when I shared this concern, wasn't even concerned. I was speaking. I was asked, I think, to have money or something. To need an ATM? But I don't have cards, so I just have this much money. I was given money. I didn't judge myself. I didn't come into this position at that moment to say, "Oh, you see, you're a beggar. You ask for money. You this, you that." I didn't judge myself, and I wasn't ashamed of myself because of that. I was grateful because I was being taken care of. Somebody took care of me. Yeah, I said thank you. It was not only because of being polite. It was just I really felt grateful to not only to this person, to the higher power. Because I didn't think that she took care of me. I thought my guides, my higher power took care of me. And this is who I was grateful to. I always had this also belief that where God guides, He provides. And when I get into that stream, things get sorted out like that. When I went to the hypnotherapy training, I took a loan, and I didn't know how I'm going to have this money and how I'm going to get there. And my mom died 2 weeks before I went there, and I still went there. I was given installments, and I took a loan, and I'm not going to be taking any loans from bank ever in my life again. So point being that it opened up when I don't sit in judgment of myself and think of how am I going to do this, it opens up. God opens a window or a door when you're meant to be when you get entangled into this judgment of yourself, or questioning whether you should be there and whether you should this because you should do this because somebody else will judge you. And when you start thinking of how other people are observing you, you are getting into this place that is not in alignment of God taking care of you. You should have faith in yourself. You can do it, especially if you know you are a creator. I didn't know that I was a creator energy. I just knew I wanted to be there. I needed to be there. This is where I'm going. Right now, I trust my guidance that I need to go see eagles, and I go see eagles, and I get this feather. It might not be in the conventional ways, and I might not be where I think I should be, but it happened. There are still things on my list that are waiting for manifesting, and I'm judging myself a little bit because I haven't manifested them so far. So this is why I think I'm not doing creations. But then there are other things that are attached to it. My centers are not in alignment of thinking of what there are other subconscious beliefs around it that I needed to become aware of. And one other thing is that when I was there, I was so in a different position than when I'm in here. And when I was in a position of somebody who had, and I didn't even know how to react from that position because I was constantly identifying myself with people with Thai people there who didn't have, and we were like this group, not colonializer necessarily, but somebody who was observed as a little bit of a higher position, and they called me madam there, and I couldn't connect to that, and I felt so guilty when they would come into my flat to clean my flat for me because oh my god, how can somebody clean for me? Or I need to pay you a little bit. I mean, they were paid for that, but I didn't know that. I was just, and yeah, it's most things are so cheap there, even for us that my colleagues there were like sending luggage, like luggages, like ridiculous amounts of luggage, the things that they bought there to their countries, and they were like, and then we were listening. They were because we were in the peace studies, and we were presented to the way of life of the locals there. So we were being taken to the unions that were talking to us about how underpaid they are, how like they work for $2 for a day, especially in the fashion industry, because there were the factories of these high brands were like in Cambodia that we visited on in Thailand and in Vietnam. So I, I was observing that, and I was observing the brands being sold for ridiculous prices in Western countries and in different prices there. And I was just feeling shocked. We're abusing these people. We were being told this, and then we go there and behave like somebody loosened up our leashes, and then we went there and got crazy. And I had so much so that I locked myself in my room, and I was crying all day long. So because I was identifying with these people, so that the organizers had to interfere and come explain to me that we're not abusing them. They wouldn't sell anything to us if they felt abused because we were giving them money actually, although it was very little, very little money. Uh, they asked me actually if I wanted to go to therapy because of it, because they saw me that I was being stingy with money, that I was saving money because I needed to save money to bring it back with me back home. And then I was crying because of these people because I felt like I'm abusing them. Oh my god. Because we know how it feels to be underpaid and abused. I've lived it. We've been through that. My mom was one of those people, and we lived through inflation. And it was like in Cambodia, the doctors were paid like $60 or $90 per month, uh, and that was us in back in '90s. Not now. In comparison to that, we're different, but in comparison to some other places, it's different now. So I got offended. Now, from this position, having said all previous things that I said, now I understand what they meant, because I was coming from a different cultural setting, and you have to clear many things. And if we are going to be a conscious society, we also need to speak about this. And so far, I have avoided to speak about uh, this topic because I still feel a lot of shame around it, because um, I'm not earning as much as it's enough for me, because I'm not having clients all the time, because people don't have money and this is not their focus. It's not their priority. They need it and they recognize the need, and I have clients, they come, and I have flow of clients. It's not a steady flow always. And I still don't feel taken care of because of all of these other issues that I told you that what I needed to work on in me, and because of being a woman in a society that is still patriarchal society and still thinks that there is a certain way of how you need to behave, create, or a certain way that you have to earn money or work. You have to suffer a lot, and you have to struggle for money because you have to work hard for money. This is why I said you don't work for money, money works for you. But essentially, especially in these kind of areas, because I see that a lot of people in spiritual community are struggling with materializing and manifesting things for themselves, mainly because women don't understand that they're manifesting, materializing from their womb. Yes, you are not attracting things from your womb in this realm, not in physical realm. You're attracting it in the um, multidimensional realm. This is where you attract what you need. And when you don't know what you need, you create subconsciously, and then you manifest it. And it seems like you attracted something in this physical realm. You attracted money. When I know you attract what you need, it doesn't always have to be money. It can be in this, like in this way. Like I said, you need somebody to drive you from the airport, and you get a limo when you need it. You can, yeah, you think you're doing it. No, you're not doing it from here. Actually, what happens is you take your energy from here, and then you are directing your energy from here, from this center, which is like a different kind of vibrational energy, and then you bring it down here where you manifest, materialize when you're doing it alone. This is what I'm talking about. And on a soul plane, this is what you're doing when you're one being. In the physical reality, when you're doing it with a partner, it's a little bit different. So it's not necessarily a sex magic. That's generally what I'm talking about. And you're manifesting it through here. And if these energies are not in alignment or clear, you're not be manifesting all the time what you think. You're not be manifesting what you need, but you're not going to be manifesting what you want. You have to be those centers, all of your centers, to be in alignment so that you manifest in an instant. Yes, this is what happens when you're alone in a partnership. But how it happens in a group and with these people who are like manifest something in an instant, it's a little bit different because the energy of a bigger amount of energy is used, and so far I haven't figured that out one yet. Yeah, I know it is there, but it hasn't become conscious yet. But my point being, this is also abuse. When you're working in alignment with divine energy, it's not. Then you're using your energy for creation. Energy is not made for trade. You don't trade your energy. This is what's wrong with all these systems and groups and stuff. This is why you start feeling at certain points like you're abused. Because you don't trade with energy. You create with your energy. We are all creators. We just do it in different ways. But basically, how it happens in a soul plane is how I explained it now. And when you go to this creatrix energy, how you bring your code, this is what happens. But it goes through your particular vessel, and you always have the stamp of your own particular vessel. This is why I said in the beginning that I know because it goes through my filters, and when I hear somebody who doesn't understand it and is just repeating or trying to retell something I told, it's not going through their vessel, it's still my vessel. So this is how it has your vibration. Anybody who knows anything will recognize that. It's just, yeah, this is the games that people play with each other, but basically what we need to do to create consciously is create in alignment with the divine, whether in group or alone. When it's enhanced, it's better. When it's with a partnership, it's better. We work with God. God works through you. You work for God, Divine Mother, Father, God, together. I think I covered now everything that I wanted to cover around this topic. Um, this is how you do it for yourself because you need certain things. You need to feel sheltered and safe and taken care of, and people around you. And then of course, you are allowed to feel okay in your vessel. You're allowed to feel okay in your life. And you're allowed not to create from suffering and suffer to be, you're allowed to be well off. We're living in an abundant world. We just don't know it. We haven't been taught it. We know it, but we have been conditioned into believing something different because it feels okay for somebody else because they think they benefit. They don't actually. On another level, they don't. They just don't know it yet. They haven't gotten that far in their development, in their evolution. And everything and everyone, we're all evolving now. This is why so many things are happening. Now, yeah, it gets challenging. And it can get drained with helping with other people and helping other people around you. I sometimes get not only drained with working with my clients and tired from difficult sessions, but from helping my brother a lot because I have to do things for him, speak for him. This is how I was also taught in my childhood. I have to do things. I basically have to live instead of him because he cannot live properly his own life. So it's challenging for me. I get drained sometimes. I get overwhelmed with that. So I need to take a lot of rest and having having somebody else to take care of in your life. You're in a different wall. I can't always be um, present 100% with my energy for clients, and I want to be present 100% for my clients. So this is why I have sometimes steady flow and sometimes I don't. This is something I also need to change because it's created from a wrong perspective, from wrong angle, from wrong reality belief system, from this system that I just told you that I have to work hard for to manifest something for my money for whatever. So, you don't. We don't. We don't. Nobody. No, we don't. We are abundant. We have everything we need, and there is enough for everybody. This is another thing. We always think that there is some lack for somebody. If somebody has something more, somebody else will lack something. No, there is enough for everybody because we all create all the time. We just do it consciously, and we have to make it conscious and become a conscious society with conscious people and conscious relationships that are doing it in a communion and alignment with God, divine with the Father God. And I think that's all. Oops, I'm sorry. This took a lot. Um, but it's a complex topic, and there's a lot of things to say. There's possibly a lot more to say about it. I should write a blog about it. But yeah, that's complex. So thank you for listening to these lessons that I present are presented to you through me, because these are lessons.